Well, hello again, it's Marina, and thought I'd do my first little video. We've had those storms yesterday, the whole of Cumbria is underwater, and look at it today, not a breath of wind, it's quite warm, well compared to yesterday, and I'm going to do some winter sowing. Now, you may not have heard about what that is. It was started by some lady online, seemingly, although I'm sure people have done it for years before, and it's based on the notion that when seeds naturally grow and then they form seeds, the flowers grow, they form the seeds dry out on the pods, and then they drop into the ground and they stay there all winter, and they suffer all that winter brings, the wind, the rain, the frost, the snow, and they still come back alive again in spring without any mollycoddling. And of course what we tend to do is we think we better not sow these until February or March or January for some, thinking that they're going to die off in the winter. And most likely, if they are small plants in the middle of winter, yes they would. But we're talking here about seeds in soil in a little mini greenhouse. Now I think Nora's mentioned this before and even shown us how to do. Now I've collected a load of these bottles. Anybody who's lived in Lancashire recently would have had a couple of 3 weeks where we had no water, so we all had to go out and buy these big gallon bottles of water, and I saved them all. I don't know why I saved them all, but I think just like any gardener, we like to reuse things and think, well, they'll come in handy for something. So I saved these. So having done some research online, I'm going to kind of show you what the idea is. There's an empty bottle. I've removed the label. It's just a normal water bottle, and about 3 or 4 inches up you just make a hole. Now I'm using scissors, which is a bit difficult, but if you squeeze it slightly, and once you get the scissor in, and it's just a case of cutting all the way around, but not completely all the way around. Whoops. This is what happens on live TV, folks. I can't see where I've made the hole. Oh yeah. And you cut it until you've got about an inch gap, an inch left there, and it makes like a hinge. Okay, I don't know whether you can see that. So there we go. And that is the basis of your mini greenhouse for a winter sowing. Now obviously it needs some drainage holes in. Now there are various ways of doing this, and online they tell you to use a heated screwdriver or a knife or something. So I'm going to do it the hard way, and it is going to be the hard way. First of all, by using my scissors when I find a pair that are sharp enough, and just making some little holes to allow for drainage. And you don't want to be too big, obviously, because you don't want, it doesn't want to work, obviously. I should have used a bradawl, so I will try and get one from somewhere. So I'm making little nicks in the sides with my scissors, and this is to make sure that the actual soil has somewhere to breathe. There we go, that's better. Okay, so I'm using the point of my scissors. So what I've done is I've put a few holes in the bottom, about 4, and some couple round the sides here. Okay, and then I'm using good quality seed compost. Now it says not to skimp on good quality, so I'm using a favourite of mine, which is John Innes, and it's the proper seed sowing compost, and you make sure all the lumps and bits are out. It's very fine, and this is very dry as well, because I've had it indoors for a week to save it from the elements. So now I'm going to fill in about 2 or 3 inches of non-lumpy seed sowing. Don't use garden soil because it might have weed seeds in, and don't be cheap on it, you know, use the best stuff you can afford. Give it a shake, okay, and then we need to water it so it's completely drenched. Okay, so I'm just going to reach over for my water. Now I've just made a Coca-Cola bottle here, put some holes in with a bradawl, and I'm just going to water it all the way around the sides, and you'll be able to see if it's wet enough. Give it a couple of times. You can actually see the water going down the sides. And don't be frightened of drenching it. Okay, and once it starts coming out of the holes, hopefully, then you know you've used enough. And just let it drip, hopefully. Come on. It doesn't seem to want to work here. Maybe it needs a bit more. It doesn't matter if you overwater it, because you can just let the water drip out. Remember, the water's got to go all the way down to the bottom. And sometimes we think we've drenched it because the top looks drenched, when in fact it's not even got anywhere near the bottom. And if you give it a shuffle about, which allows the water to go down, and it's just starting to come out. I can just feel it through the gaps and the little holes that I made underneath at the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to fill up a few more and do the same, and then I'll come back and show you how I drain the seed. I will put the seeds in once it's all drained and it's not too soggy. Okay, so we'll see you soon.